This
We'll have it
conference
posted on
will
the
now
website.
be recorded.
There you go. First off, obviously, we just want to start off by sending our deepest condolences to the Barr family. Obviously, we lost a very important member of the curling community over the weekend, and has deeply impacted a number of the curlers, in the Bemidji Curling Club and across the country. So I know it's very challenging to do virtually, but I'd just like to take a moment of silence to start this off in memory of Josh, who was a former national champion, participated in the Worlds a couple different times, was a national participant, was an advocate in the Bemidji Curling Club and an ice maker, and was a friend of many. So we'll just take a moment of silence here for Josh Barr, in memory of Josh Barr. Thank you. And again, sending our deepest condolences to the Barr family, and also to the Bemidji Curling Club, as well, as we know he was played an intricate role at the Bemidji Curling Club. So just again, thanks to everybody for showing up and joining our second town hall meeting. We're going to consistently continue to do these throughout the season, just so we can keep everybody updated. We know it's challenging times, obviously, with COVID pandemic going on, and it makes it very hard for anybody to plan for a season and to plan for what's ahead. So we feel like this is the best way to be able to communicate with everybody that's looking at curling competitively, or whether it's men's, women's, mixed doubles, or juniors. So we tried to structure the call a little differently this time. So the first half hour will be focused on men's and women's. The second half hour will be focused on mixed doubles, and then the third one will be focused on juniors. Jess and I will go through the updates that we have, and then at the end we'll allow time to take questions from everybody, as I'm sure most of you have questions or thoughts or comments or feedback. So you can make sure they mute their phone, so that way we don't get any feedback when we're going through this. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Jess.
All right. So Phil and I are in communications with Dr. Finoff from the USOPC and Dr. Cole from our affiliate with Twin Cities Orthopedics. And I think the biggest thing that we need to remember and that we highly recommend is that everybody wears a mask when we're playing and when we're on the ice. Definitely highly recommend that. And as far as quarantine rules, that's just going to be dependent on state to state and where you're at. So please, please, please follow your guidelines and try to be safe, stay healthy, and wear a mask when you're playing.
Yeah, even if you're out practicing and there doesn't seem to be many people out there, just, it's a strong recommendation from both of them. So, and that's whether you're doing on ice training or off ice training. So keep that in mind. As you guys could see, this week was kind of filled with a lot of updates from events. And I don't know, for those of you who aren't following, Jenna Martin, our communications director, has been sending that weekly COVID update, which is posted right to the website. There's a special page for it. So you can always check that out on Fridays. That goes out on the website. But we've had a number of events that were canceled. California had 3 great events planned: a women's event, a mixed doubles event, and a men's event. At this point, that's been canceled for September due to COVID. And there's been a lot of movement on the tour, with the tour making the call that there's no points to be gained from until October 31st. So that's a big deal and a big change in things. So even if there are events that are being held, points aren't available at them. So it'll be just playing like a regular cash field and playing for money. So at this point, that's where we're at. I'm told that the WCF, the World team ranking system is going to reassess that probably middle September. And the reason they picked November 1st is that the Europeans are happening, America's Challenge, the Pacific Rim Challenge, Pacific Rim Championship are all going on then. So they're leaving that open. Those are still scheduled and on the calendar for November. And decision will be made mid-September. And then at that point, likely a decision will be made on what's going to be happening with tour points and various things like that. But I do know, I don't know if all of you saw, but John Benton sent out a communication this week or late last week about the U.S. Open. That's September 11th to the 13th at the Four Seasons Curling Club in Blaine. They've got the quite a impressive list of COVID rules and regulations that they're going to abide by. And obviously they've got in Minnesota, it's a state mandate that you wear a mask inside. But they've got quite a list, and they're going to move forward with their event. So, and they have opened it up. They sent out an email today. It might have come out that they've opened it up to everybody. So get in touch with John Benton if that's something that you're interested in playing in. Again, it'll be through the rules of a cash deal, and points will not be eligible for that event. But as far as events goes, I think we've got a couple of mixed doubles cancellations, but I'll go into that in the mixed doubles portion of the call.
Thanks, Phil. And kind of along those lines, we are, our goal is to let you know at the latest 30 days prior to an event if it's going to get canceled, if not sooner. So we're trying to let you know as soon as we can with any of these updates. And kind of more along those lines, with events being canceled, we recommend that you do not travel. So as an organization, we just feel like that's a high risk, but obviously you're going to travel at your own risk, but we are not recommending travel at this time.
Yeah, that goes right from our national teams that are a part of USA Curling and anybody. That's just our recommendation. And again, it's what we've put in place. We're going to keep updating that recommendation every Friday in our COVID updates. So if you follow those, we'll have continued updates on that stuff. Next question, or next topic is the Nationals and what that looks like. As you all know, in the past, Nationals has been 5 teams have qualified based on order of merit points that are earned throughout the season, and then another teams are qualifying through various other ways to get a part of the U.S. Nationals for both men's and women's. Obviously, that's not going to be able to happen this year, and with the tour on hold, with the season on hold till November 1st, we've had to make some adjustments, and with the further likelihood that we may not play any events, depending on what things look like until December or later, that have points that are worth points. We've been meeting with the AAC and working with Jeff Flush, the new CEO, on coming up with a format for Nationals. We're hoping to release it later this week. But likely the scenarios that we're looking, or the proposal that we're looking at, is having a couple teams qualify from the Nationals from 2020. So the top 2 teams from the Nationals from 2020 having the top 3 teams in points that start the season. So that would be start of September 1st. The top 3 teams in points at that point. So whoever's ranked 1, 2, and 3 that's not already qualified would get a direct berth into Nationals. And then the last spots would come to a challenge round that would be run, obviously, with COVID restrictions and policies and procedures from the USOPC, which would, quite possibly deal with whatever the quarantine policy is at that point. Same with Nationals. If we're able to host and have a safe Nationals where it's safe for all the athletes, we'd move forward with that, and we would have that national championship, but it would have to follow all the guidelines. As far as that on the national championship, I think that's that's what it would look like. Again, continuing to meet with the AAC. This plan has been pushed to the AAC and given feedback and been accepted by the AAC and by Jeff. And we're just taking it through a few more challenges or channels and looking to finalize it somewhere here in the near future. I'd say within the next 2 weeks we'll have something out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That probably leads right into the trials, which obviously is a big question on everyone's mind as well.
Right, and definitely for good reason. As of right now, Phil and I have recommended to the USOPC, and it still needs, we're awaiting approval from them, but tentatively we are considering, since we can't qualify on tour points anymore, we'll be taking the national championships to qualify some of the teams. And then we are looking at having a trials qualifying series that will start in August of 2021 that will qualify a couple teams as well. With that, we are expanding the trials fields from 4 to 6 teams, which I think is probably more along the lines of just to hope to open up the doors for more people to qualify to get the teams into the trials.
And I just want to add to that, that came as a recommendation from, I think as a whole from the AAC, and Jess and I support it 100%. You know, I think it's a really good thing. We don't want to see somebody end up getting sick and being a team getting eliminated from an event because they have to quarantine and only have one opportunity potentially to qualify for the Olympic trials. So it seemed to make the most sense to expand the field, give teams multiple opportunities to qualify for the Olympic trials. And give everybody an opportunity and to know in advance. And obviously, this is in the stages of where it has not. I just want to keep in mind this has not been approved by the USOPC. So if anyone has any questions, they can feel free to ask. But approval from the USOPC and obviously a sign off by the AAC. But we have been meeting. We were up until a couple weeks ago, and we finally got our plans. We're collaborating with the team, at least on the trials procedures, with Bill and Dean and Alex on the AAC, and then they'd bring it to their team. So we feel it's important that the athletes are heard and get feedback on these various things, as it's important to everybody. The last thing I want to touch on is the World University Games. The World University Games are in Switzerland in January. This is an event that we are not sending a team. We're not supporting as USA Curling. However, there is an opportunity if any individuals or any teams have interest in going to the event, reach out to me and I can get you the details that you'd need to do. It's just an event that a number of years ago that USA Curling decided that it wouldn't support because of financial reasons. And at this point, that it is open. So if there is teams that are interested in going to it and taking the US spot, reach out to me immediately and I can get you more details. As for updates, I think that's all we have. So I guess at this point, we would open it up to any questions or comments on and if you could just keep it focused on men's and women's at this point. Not everybody at once.
Hey, Phil, this is Craig Brown. Can you tell me how many teams you want to qualify, or what the proposal is, how many you want to qualify out of nationals, and then how this series will work starting in August?
Yes, absolutely. So what our proposal out is that the 2020 national champion and the 2021 national champion and the the two highest ranked teams at the 2021 national championship not already qualified. So we'd have half of the field would be qualified based off of national championships. The other half of the field would qualify based off of would qualify based off of the qualifying series. And the way the qualifying series, which we currently have it proposed, is the events would happen between August and October of 2021, and there would be 2 events, and the winning team from each event qualify directly to the Olympic trials, and the team with the highest points, highest world team ranking points at those 2 events would qualify. So, basically the winning team from each of them, and then the highest ranked team after the 2 winning teams would qualify to get a 6. Again, that's what the proposal is moving forward. Not the final, but the proposal.
Do you have an expected time of when you are going to hear back from USOPC on that?
I had a meeting today with them, actually this afternoon with them. Jess and I have some work to do to update. We needed to get the proposal provisionally approved, and then we have to go back into the trials procedures document and update that. So what we'll do is we'll get that taken care of. We'll send it back to them, and then they send it forward to their attorneys, and we will make sure we update on the Friday updates as to when that will be, because I asked Jen that from the USOPC that question today, and she just wasn't sure because she hadn't talked to they have a whole team that's dealing with Olympic trials procedures. We're ahead of the game. We're ahead of most winter sports, but unfortunately, if there's any summer sports that are still doing adjustments to their Olympic trials procedures, they'll be in front of us. So she's going to get us more detail. And as soon as we get the detail on that, we'll get that out.
Do you have a location for these series events?
No, those will be announced. Well, in the trials procedures documents, it says that those will be announced 45 days prior,
Okay.
similar to the others. But I think we would probably do. I know. I think Jenny's on the call, but I think we would probably, work with Jenny and work on finding go through host sites like we would for any championship and have places put in, have places apply. That makes sense. And of course, the Olympic trials are still on schedule for November in Omaha.
Are the qualifying events? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Are the qualifying events open for everybody?
The qualifying events open to everybody. That is one detail that has not been determined. There was there's 2 proposals out there. One is that they have a world team ranking, so that they have earned points on the world team ranking, and whether it be the top 200, it's going to be pretty flexible, pretty open, because of we know that team changes and there's not a lot of opportunity for teams to play. Or the second option is that it's open to anyone. That's one of the details that we're waiting to hear back from the USOPC on. We're going to try to get as many teams as we can in these, because we understand, that teams can't compete this year. There's new teams that have formed in pursuit, of their Olympic dream, and there's not really an opportunity for teams to potentially compete this season. But we don't know. It's an unknown. So we want to put these procedures together in a way that they don't have to be modified, hopefully, and make sure that everyone has an opportunity. Any other thoughts or questions about events or procedures? You guys are an easy group tonight. I just continue to watch the COVID page, and it's really been handy. And Jenna does a great job updating it and getting something out every week. So just make sure you continue to watch that. Looks like we have some messages in the chat room. I've even it looks like Jess took care of those. I think we'll, at this point, if there's no other questions, we'll just hold off and wait until 7:30 in case anybody's joining for the mixed doubles portion. But if you're joining for the men's and women's, we'll take any last questions. Otherwise, we'll just hold off until 7:30 and start the mixed doubles.
One question, are you going to address anything with the other, like for the non-elite players or arena nationals and club nationals, club championships? When will we all start planning on those events?
That's a great question. Jess and I aren't directly overseeing those events or in charge of those events that we directly work with. But if you feel there's a need for that, we could absolutely ask someone from the USCA office. I know Jenny's on, but
Phil, I didn't quite hear the question.
Could you repeat the question?
Jenny, I didn't.
Jenny, the question is when will we all start figuring out things for arena nationals and club nationals, stuff like that? Because I know that there's arena nationals, the qualification is a lot different by random, and I know some teams or some clubs were concerned that they were able to make it last year, but no longer happened, and all of a sudden, will they get priority or not, and so forth, stuff like that.
In regards to the arena nationals, that's a good question. I don't have an answer for you on that yet. However, it will be the club's determination how and who they want to select as their representing team. I don't know that we're going to hold over the same clubs from last year that were selected and went through the process, basically drawing from a hat. I don't think that we can keep all of those teams the same just because team members change, and also as far as what clubs are going online, especially arena clubs this year.
Yes.
I would say we'll have more information later this fall, at least by mid-fall or when the rules come out, and we should be looking forward to our rules being completed, at the latest by the end of September. For club nationals, that qualifying is really, as it has always been, it's going to be, the region is going to have to figure that out I don't want to say figure it out, but it's up to the region to determine U18 representing teams and mixed representing teams and club representing teams. So they will, I don't know what regions are doing yet. As far as holding playdowns, we're in the process of collecting that information, and I haven't received much back yet. But we will definitely be working with them to get more information. On a normal year, we'd have all this for you guys by at the end of August at the very latest. However, this year we're a bit unique, and we'll be getting that information out as quick as we can.
Understand. Okay. Thanks, Jenny.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Well, for those of you that are going to jump off and not stay on the mixed doubles, appreciate everybody joining and taking part tonight. And we're taking it one day at a time. I know Jess did mention this, but I'll just reiterate this: that on all of our events, a minimum of 30 days ahead of time, we're going to be making a determination. So, we're not going to leave someone hanging until the last very day. We're going to, make sure that things are safe for the athletes. That's our number one priority, and every decision we make is based on that. So we want to keep everybody safe. We want to make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to compete. So, there's a lot of states that a lot of different things are happening and have different quarantine rules and have different travel restrictions. So we're just trying to our best to keep on top of that and what that looks like. And we're going to continue to meet with the doctors and continue to meet with our partners, the AAC, and with Jeff and Courtney on everything and make sure that we can have a plan that fits everybody or is fair to everybody. We'll give it 2 minutes and then we'll get started on the mixed doubles side. All right, we hit 7:30, so I haven't actually seen many new people join. I've seen a few leave, so I don't know if we feel the need to go through that the policies again, Jess.
No, I don't think we need to, Phil. I think we
Okay.
covered that pretty well, and it'll be in our weekly updates as well.
Okay, so then I'll just go right into the updates on the schedule that we have. Everyone could make sure they mute their phone when they join. So updates on events. It's been a pretty on the mixed doubles side. It's been more of a grim week, I would say. So we had notification from Denver that they're canceling their event. If everyone can make sure they mute their phones, there's a lot of background. Jess, you might be able to mute everybody. Oh, there we go. I think we're good. So yeah, it was pretty tough week for that. Denver canceled their event, which was scheduled for mid-October. They were a qualifying event for the Olympic trials. Madison quick canceled their event. They were a qualifying event for the Olympic trials. And Madison was scheduled the last weekend in October into the first weekend in November. And then Boston canceled their event, which they were looking to host their event in, which was going to be in December, and that third weekend of December event. So yeah, it was a tough week for us on mixed doubles. I think there still are obviously some mixed doubles events that are planned, but at this point, with there being no points available, we're back to the drawing board on mixed doubles, and we haven't had much opportunity to do that yet. So basically, the trials are still scheduled for March. We're going to assess whether that's going to be possible to happen, and if it is possible to happen, how do we qualify teams on the ice, and how do we get teams safely on the ice, and can we get teams safely on the ice? So as I said, I mentioned I met with the USOPC today, and they've got this listed as a priority. Just for everyone, a little background for everyone, that the mixed doubles trials procedures were actually approved back in March of 2019 and posted. On the men's and women's, we haven't had an approved trials procedures, so it's a little bit more straightforward. For mixed doubles, we actually have to go in and modify the procedures and make changes and get the changes approved. It's a little bit more challenging of a process because it consists of events getting canceled and eliminated and adjusting and then furthermore even if moving the trials, we have a lot of partners that partner with us in hosting of trials. They're actually owned by the USOPC, so they have to be bought into it, and NBC. So just a little bit more challenging on that side. So we are going to do our best to keep everybody updated on that and keep working through that procedures. But obviously, we don't have a nationals update because the nationals are scheduled to be the trials. But what we can tell you is if we are able to safely host the trials, it's our intention that we have two qualifying events, a minimum of 2 qualifying events to be able to do that. So, and if we're not able to do that, the March event would then become the 2021 National Championship. So I think in terms of updates on the mixed doubles, that's what I got for you. Just the event cancellations and more to be seen on the Olympic trials and nationals. If we do postpone the nationals, if they were to get postponed to October, we would look at doing a very similar qualifying trials qualifying series like we did, like we would be doing for men's and women's. So it would be very similar to that. So, Jess, anything I missed or anything to add?
I think you covered it pretty well, Phil. Thank you.
Now we'd open it up to questions on mixed doubles, thoughts. Nobody? No questions on mixed doubles?
Any questions? Yeah.
I think
Again,
the big question was just with the event cancellations, what were you planning to do about the trials? And it sounds like that's kind of still being determined, but it looks like there's a resolution coming down the pipe. So probably more questions next month.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And again, with everything getting canceled on Friday, it was just kind of a trickle effect. I think Boston notified me Thursday, and then Friday it was the other two. So it really changes the look of things. And obviously, on the original qualifications, for those of you that didn't know, there was the 3 qualifying events, and then there was two teams came from order of merit and or world team ranking system, and then 2 were going to come from the pre-trials in February. Obviously, the pre-trials are still on and scheduled, but at this point, we're going to continue to work with the USOPC, and we'll talk to our partners and determine if the trials are going to be held in March, and then what that would look like, and if they're not going to be held in March, when would they be moved to, and how would the qualifying process look. I would say next month at this time, I hope to have more of an answer for you. And like I said, the USOPC is putting priority on this because we're really only 7 months away from the Olympic trials, and we have a lot of unknowns. So, and we have 3 teams that are qualified, sitting there and waiting for 7 other teams to join them. So, just a little different process there, and it's actually a little different process and a lot more challenging. Any other thoughts? Yes, are you going to hold off till 8 for the juniors, or?
Yes, I feel like we should hold off until 8. So if anybody's on and interested in what's going on for updates for the juniors, you can feel free to hang on the line or sign off and get back on and join the meeting. But just in case we have people joining us later, I want to make sure we start at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, for those of you that did join for men's and women's and mixed doubles, thanks for joining us, and please keep watching the COVID page, and we will get a date out this Friday on the COVID page when our next town hall meeting is. Watch the website. It'll be in August at the same time, the same time frame, right, Jess?
Yeah, that sounds right. I think so.
And we'll keep it on Mondays.
Yeah, we'll keep it on a Monday, and we'll get that out to you guys. Thank you so much for taking your time out today to join us. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thanks, everyone.
So I'm going to just turn my computer screen off here for a minute, and then I'll circle back in about 20 minutes. Thank you all for your patience and waiting.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we can probably get started here. Thank you all for being with us this evening. I appreciate your time. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the passing of Josh Barr this last weekend. He was an integral part of our curling community. He is a past junior national champion, and he was very active with the Bemidji Curling Club. So I'm just going to take a moment of silence just to recognize Josh and the life that he has lived with us. Okay. Well, welcome again. So tonight, I just wanted to give you guys a few updates on what's going on. I know some of you guys were on the men's and women's and the mixed doubles call that we had earlier, so it might be a little bit of a review, but we do have some new people jumping on the call this evening as well. So just a quick brief updates. Phil and I have been in communications with Dr. Finoff from the USOPC and Dr. Cole with our affiliate Twin Cities Orthopedics, and we definitely highly recommend wearing a mask anytime you're practicing or anytime you're out on the ice. It's a very good thing to get put into practice. Our national teams will be wearing them as well as even when they're working out and whatnot. So it's a very good practice to get into. We are also, with that, there's been a lot of cancellations with mixed doubles events and other events, as well as the tour. So we are also, along those lines, we are not recommending traveling. It is definitely at your own risk, and we just want everybody to try to put their safety and health first, as well as their family members and their friends and family and teammates. So very important that we try to practice the precautions and guidelines in our areas, and we try not to travel and continue to wear our masks and practice the health and safety standards from that standpoint. Going forward, just a little bit about the qualifying events. I know everybody's been anxious to try to get on the ice, but again, as all the other events are canceling, Bill and I are trying not to, I mean, we would like to give updates up to, like if we're canceling events, it'll be 30 days in advance. But with that being said, obviously a lot more events are canceling this fall, and so right now, I'm not canceling the qualifying event in October, but it's probably more than likely the qualifying event for the World B Trials. With that being said, when Jenny does post the registration, I just ask that all the teams do register because what the potential
online code didn't work.
We could sorry about that. What we could potentially do is open the field for the World B Trials, which could be probably 8 to 10 teams, depending on how many teams are actually interested in playing. However, that's only a month after the qualifying the qualifiers, and unfortunately, the fall is not looking that great. So if for the last resort, the worst case scenario is that we would have to go to a selection for the team for the World Bs. And that I will try to let you guys know, again, at the maximum 30 days in advance if that's the case, but that will be coming from just kind of seeing, assessing what the quarantine timelines are for pre and post events and where people are traveling from. Again, making sure that the safety of our athletes are our number one priority. With that being said, there's also the NBQ that is in December, and we'll address that. If for some reason that NBQ has to get canceled, then we'll just add those 2 spots to the other NBQs that are in the next part of the season. So hopefully we can have those. But like I said, I'm not making any decisions at this point, and I just ask that you guys, if your teams are interested in playing for the World B Trials, just have them sign up from that regard. As far as U18 goes, that's going to be up to the regions and how they want to qualify their teams, and that's probably still a little further down the line. And then Jenny and I will be in communications with those regions and clubs as necessary. Any questions regarding the World B Trials? The qualifications for that.
Do you have a location for the October and November events?
We do not. That's the other part of it. So it's obviously a challenge. There's some clubs that aren't opening, some clubs are opening. So as far as the October qualifiers, we're probably not going to have those, and that we are still looking at for locations for the November trials. Does somebody else have a question? Okay. So just some things, other things that are coming down the pipes. I know like that's the worst case scenario, and there's just not a lot of information to share right now, especially, again, clubs are, it's different state to state, it's different from club to club. Everybody's kind of making their decisions and what they're going to do, and with this fall, it's just, again, there's just a lot of unknowns, so there's not a lot of answers to give. With that, though, we are coming up with some exciting new initiatives for the juniors. One of the ones that I've been working on that you've probably seen is the junior development program that we're starting, and we already have 20 applicants for that, so I'm pretty excited about that. We have a great group that's going to be helping with Mike Koplinski. He'll be doing some on ice and some video. Like the athlete can send their video to Mike and he can analyze delivery and help along those lines. We have our trainer, Charlie. He's out of Duluth. So he'll be kind of managing, helping the athletes train for those and get conditioned, as well as offering discounted virtual rates. So that's kind of been my focus lately. We also have a lot of athletes and actually some well-known coaches that will be helping with that program too. We have a webinar series that will go once a month through the year. And then after we get that all finalized and organized, then I'll be jumping on to helping out and seeing where I can help at a club level as well as a regional level. So I've been kind of just mostly right now networking and seeing where USA Curling can help and benefit and kind of get into the clubs a little bit more. So we're looking at probably doing a lot of web-based clinics coming up here in the near future, as well as I've been evaluating what's going to be happening for the 21-22 season. So kind of exploring what a potential series of events would be like to qualify the teams for the U21 Nationals. So more to come on that once we get more details finalized. But I think it's aside from what COVID's doing right now, we're just kind of looking at it as an opportunity to where we can better help the pipeline and help the younger athletes and juniors that are up and coming or just starting. So it's kind of been fun to brainstorm with people and kind of figure out how we can help people help juniors from the West Coast to the East Coast, the Midwest, and in between. So it's pretty cool to reach out and kind of talk with some of you. I think there's a handful of you on the call that I have spoken to already, and always if you have any questions or suggestions or ideas, feel free to shoot me an email, and I love to hear from you guys. In the meantime, do you guys have any other questions regarding junior events?
Hey, Jess, this is Mike Graves from Michigan.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, just wanted to clarify. I know you don't have any details, but I just wanted to emphasize the point but the 21-22 U21 qualifying process will be different next year. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement.
Okay.
It will be different. But
what it looks like, that's way too far in the future, and there's too much other stuff going on right now, right?
So with everything that's going on right now, obviously that's been taking a lot of the time, but my goal is to have details ironed out for the 21-22 season sooner rather than later. So this, as soon as I finalize the details and what those events could look like, I will let you guys know. But it would hopefully be no later than like January.
All right. Thanks, Jess.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jess, with the U18 not being dictated to any world schedule, is there any consideration of pushing that back further into spring or even early summer?
For this season, we will have to, it'll be a discussion that we'll have to have with WASA and kind of see what COVID's doing at that time.
Hey, Jess, this is Ruben Harris of Team Tuma.
Hey,
So
Ruben.
I've been listening a little bit, and I haven't heard anyone talk about essentially page playoff as opposed to, an undefeated team getting an automatic bye to the final and have to be beaten twice, the so-called Dropkin rule. What's the current thinking on that?
I think for this season, at least, it's going to remain the same. So I get that's something that we can look into for the next season.
All right, because there's a reason countries like Canada adopted the page, and
right.
It gives the first and second place teams what they deserve, which is a couple opportunities, and they need to be beaten twice, and then third and fourth always gets an opportunity.
Right.
Just to get more into the playoff mix.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's always good, and we can definitely explore that more. Does anybody have any questions regarding the World Beat Trials or playdowns, at least for this fall season? So I do have, we do have a junior group that started for Facebook and Instagram. If anybody's into the social media, we'll be doing a lot of updates through there as well. It's just more of a resource center where we can share information. I have the U.S. Junior Curling Association that will be helping out as well, and we'll be posting camps and updates and just tips on team tips on communications and motivation, pretty much anything and everything we can cover through that Facebook page. So I'll be trying to keep that updated, and it's also another route that you can reach me as well.
Hey, Jess, deadline on joining the National Junior Development Program?
Good question. So the deadline is August 8th for the National Junior Development Program. And so what we'll be doing after that, we have the virtual camp that I had originally slated for 4 hours, but we're having such good presenters and some good information that wants to be shared. So it'll probably be pushed to 5 hours. And that's going to be August 29th, with the first webinar starting the first Wednesday in September. And actually, I think Mike might be a presenter for that. So we're still getting that dialed in as well. But I'm pretty excited to have the lineup that we do. And once all the athletes are signed up, we'll email out more information.
Question for you in terms of video or streaming. Currently, there are several restrictions in terms of who can stream games. With restrictions on who can actually watch the games, is there some consideration for maybe changing those, or the USDA maybe investing in some cameras that maybe can stream live, but maybe can record and then post to YouTube so families can watch, because that seems to be a little bit more of a situation with juniors than other levels?
Yeah, so I think the streaming, it depends on the platform, and someone might be more tech savvy to be able to answer that question. And I believe that USA Curling might be looking into exploring some more options, but
Jess,
yes, Jenny.
it's Jenny. Sorry.
Jenny might be able to answer these questions.
We are definitely looking at that, especially with the possibility of no spectators this season. We're in the process of, obviously making it the most cost efficient, as deliverable as we can. We can't make it happen overnight, but we definitely have been working on it and in conversations with different people to get this going for all events, not just junior events. But we know it's definitely a priority for this season, the way it will be if we get out there.
Okay. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate that. I did have another question about the junior development program, and I guess so we'll have the web stream sessions once a month, and that will lead into a camp that will hopefully be on ice in May. And so right now it's $200 to join the program, and the camp we're estimating at $500. So if you sign up now, then you would get the virtual camp in August and all the web series, plus the on ice or the access to Mike, and then you'll have a discount. So then your rate for the camp in May would be $300, and then what that would do is kind of jumpstart you for the following season. And so that will just give us some more time to work with athletes, work with coaches, and kind of start sharing more resources to people. And like I said, this is just the jumping off point for us. We have a lot of exciting things coming down the road. So it's a pretty cool time, I guess, to be a part of the organization and to kind of rebrand and come up with these camps and stuff for the kids. All right, any other questions?
I was just curious if you had anything to do with like the U25 program that came out recently, and if you do, if you had any comments or possible resources that might be going out, especially to like those of us that are eligible for junior Bs this year, but then moving forward, kind of merging into men's and women's and that sort of a thing.
Absolutely. So U25s is still a relatively new program that the USOPC approved for us, and USA Curling has been behind it. And our goal is to be able to open the umbrella up so those athletes that are coming out of juniors who want to continue to be competitive would be under this U25 umbrella. So like I said, that's still evolving and what that looks like, but then we are tracking athletes as they come through juniors and seeing who's been taking advantage of the resources and showing some motivation towards wanting to be more competitive. And then that's how we would start bringing you into the U25 program.
Okay, and then do you know if there'll be any, I guess like there's the junior development program for U21s. Do you know if there's anything potentially in the works for the U25, if you're like they chose the teams for this season, but if there's any sort of other resources for that age group at all?
They're not at the moment, but that's a good suggestion. So let me explore it and what it could potentially look like.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for coming out tonight. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself through my email, jessica.schultz@usacurling.org. You can also reach out via Facebook. I'm pretty much an open book, so if you have any questions, feel free. I try to get back to you right away. And I look forward to speaking with you guys more and getting to know all of you more coming up in the near future. So stay tuned. Phil and I will have another date of updates coming up at the end of August. So we'll have more answers coming up on the qualifiers for the World Beat Trials. So thank you all. Enjoy your evening. Have a great week.